So I'm Rose, I'm Head of Customer Success at Versantus. So welcome to our Versantus Presents Say Hi to AI. So for those that don't know, this is a series of sort of events that we've been running for the last year or so, sort of 5 or 6 events a year, covering various different topics, so sort of marketing things. We've done a SEO for AI one, and also a end of the year quiz as well. So they're free, open to everybody, so the more the merrier. So if you enjoy this one, then do share it with people for next time. And so in a second I'll be handing over to Nick, who's our CEO and founder, and to also James Fruin, who's on the call as well, who's an AI developer, and they're going to talk you through this for the next hour. So the way we're going to structure that is probably about 45 minutes of them presenting things, and then time for questions at the end. So if you've got any questions, just pop them into the chat in here, and I'll be picking them up as we go. If you've got any issues as we go along that you need immediate help with audio or anything like that, just pop it in the chat as well. We'll be monitoring that, and we'll be sharing the slides and the recording from this session after the event as well. And I think now it's time to hand over to Nick and James.
Great, thank you very much. And as Rose says, if you like this, share your friends and tell us, please. If you don't like it, just let's never talk about it again. I'm in control of the slides, so I'll.
You are.
So there's a saying / curse, may you live in interesting times. It definitely feels at the moment like we are living in interesting times. Confusing, complicated, ever-changing, but for people like me, really exciting, because I see lots of opportunity with the rise of the robots that we're seeing at the moment. And I think the number of people we've got on the call and the conversations we've had over the past few years really makes me understand that there is an awful lot of interest in this. You can't avoid the news stories, good and bad, about AI. You can't avoid the conversations with people like me and others who are telling you all the amazing things you can do, and also all the people who are telling you all the terrible things that AI will lead to. So it's great to see you all here, and we're just going to spend, as well. So if we've got an hour session, we're going to try and not talk for an hour, especially me. That is the risk. Rose has already started to panic, so I'm already going off topic here. We're going to talk a little bit and then have a chance, hopefully, for us all to have a chat and see how you're all using these tools and any questions we've got. We want this to be informative, a little bit practical, and then hopefully lead on to other conversations if you want to. So I'm Nick, as well as I'm the founder and CEO. Sounds very grand. My role at the moment in Versantus is to be the innovation nerd. I get to spend my time playing with this sort of tech, which is great for me because I love doing that, and starting to think about how we can apply it to our business and what the opportunities and risks are for us and our customers. And every day I'm having exciting conversations about what's now possible that wasn't before. So that's really fantastic. We've got with us James as well. James, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. My name's James. I've been a designer for the last 15 years, and I've been running a design studio called October. I now live in Lisbon, and I've been building apps using AI for the last couple of years now.
Great, thank you. And just a little plug, we'll put it at the end as well, so you don't need to scan it now, but we had a 4th slot on this slide, so you filled it with the CEO Sleep Out QR code, which I'm doing a rough sleeping for homelessness. I've done it for the past couple of years. I'm doing it again on October the 9th. So please, if you have a few pounds to spare, it only needs to be a few pounds, consider donating to that if you care about homelessness. So it should be no surprise to you that at Versantus we think there actually is a really good opportunity to work with AI, and I've definitely been on the roller coaster of excitement and amusement and terror about AI and what it might lead to for organisations like mine, and for the work that I do and the career I've built. I've seen how AI can revolutionise the sorts of work I do, and it's pretty terrifying at times, but I've started to get comfortable with it, and I'm starting to see actually there are really good benefits here, and finally I think it might offer the promise of replacing boring work rather than replacing humans, which was the other potential outcome here. And I think we've seen, and we'll talk a bit about how we've done it, we've seen that our team is much more creative, focused on really high value work and really effective outcomes, much more so than they were before, where they were worrying about detail, which was not really valuable to us or our customers. So the hi bit and the why, say hi to AI, and what that means is two things. One is it's welcoming our robot overlords and saying, this is happening, so let's make a positive out of it. Let's think about how we can benefit commercially, personally, from using these sorts of tools. And just to say, actually, I didn't say at the start, when I'm talking about AI, there'll be some people on the call and thinking, well, this isn't really AI, ChatGPT isn't proper AI and that sort of stuff. Just treat it as a shortcut for ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, those sorts of tools that you've all been using regularly, but AI is easier to say. I think that you should be welcoming this technology and importantly starting now, because if you don't, your competitors will. And more importantly, probably, if you don't, your team are already using this. So any leaders or line managers or individuals on here, your colleagues and your workers are already using AI to do part of their job. So if you're not giving them the frameworks and the structures and the guidance and the support, then you might end up with chaos, and that's where you potentially do lead to outcomes that you don't want. And then the other side of it, the other side of hi, is the human intelligence side. So we need to make sure that we're thinking about how to apply AI when we're talking about applying it in conjunction with humans and human intelligence. People are messy things, as we all know, and people have emotions and worries and fears and skill gaps that they need to be mindful of, and we as leaders need to be mindful of. So we need to be thinking about how we introduce people to this technology and how we make it safe and comfortable and exciting for them, so that they really do start to enable that higher value work that we're talking about. But also thinking about our data privacy and security, thinking about AI bias. So in some sectors like HR, where people have started experimenting with using AI to sift through CVs, for instance, it's a real risk that bias in the AI training leads to unwelcome outcomes. So this isn't the sort of person who looks like a leader, so we won't hire them. That's a really dangerous area to be in. So thinking about those sorts of things when you're thinking about rolling this out to your organization. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, mainly it's about making sure that we're thinking, how do we augment, how do we extend our people with the use of AI rather than replace them? The very best outcomes we're going to get when we take a really talented person who's engaged with this technology and give them the very best technology that they can use. That's where we get really amazing teams and really amazing outcomes. An example of that today is James, a very talented developer who's been using AI for the last couple of years. Why don't you tell us about that, James?
Sweet, thank you, Nick. So if you want to just jump to the next slide for me. So like Nick said, I've been using AI for the last couple of years. I've been running a design studio. Last year I moved to Lisbon. I didn't speak the language, and then out of nowhere I had a surgery that put me kind of out of work for a few months. And so really I spent the time learning about AI, trying to kind of cover in the gaps that I'd been missing my whole career. So I'd always been able to design products. I'd always had ideas for things, but I've never actually been able to build them. I always had to rely on developers and software engineers that I knew to be able to build them for me. And when you're building products, there's always a little bit of loss from the idea that's in your head to what the outcome is as it goes through different people. And so the idea or the potential idea that I could build something end to end was super interesting to me. And so I spent really 3 months going super deep, posting on LinkedIn, talking about the stuff that I was doing, the stuff that I was learning. And I really started out very, very basic. So the tools that were available at the time, so ChatGPT was still actually making a lot of errors in the stuff that it did. There's a lot of back and forth, but I started off just building small Chrome extensions, or in the app Claude, they have a thing called Artifacts. It's kind of like a mini app. I started off doing those very basic things just to take screenshots or give me more information about what I was seeing on screen. And then every kind of week or couple of weeks, I gradually just increased the complexity as I kind of hit the boundaries of what was possible. And I moved up towards website components, and then Mac apps and web apps and iPhone apps. And it was really like a way for me to keep stretching myself, learning new things, learning new tools. And as I pushed up to those boundaries and I realized, I can't do this anymore, then sometimes it meant moving to a new tool or changing the workflow slightly, or even sometimes just waiting a couple of weeks until, and sorry, I just got a phone call, until a new AI model was out, and I was able to actually start using something that was a bit more powerful. And so yeah, so if Nick, you want to jump to the next slide for me? The thing is with all of this stuff is right now it's all about getting familiar with the tools as it is for the outcomes. So that's what I was doing for all of that time. Was I wasn't thinking, okay, I need to go ahead and I need to build the next Facebook or something like that. All I was thinking was, okay, I know that this stuff is going to be good at some point and it's going to be useful for me at some point, even if it can't do exactly what I want right now. And so if I put in the time right now to learn about coding or about saving my work to GitHub, which is a place for developers to store their code, so I didn't lose any of my work when it inevitably went wrong. At the point where the AI models are a lot better, then I'm already familiar with it. I already know the workflow. And so a big part of this process was about refining my workflow, understanding like how I can improve it, speed it up, or do things better. And so the way that I built an app maybe a year and a half ago is completely different to the way that I build it now. But because of those learnings that I made along the way, I can build a lot faster or a lot smarter now. So really with all of this stuff, what we're doing right now is we're learning to ride a bike, not win the Tour de France right now. Thank you, Nick. So this is a really good example, and this I think is a really good way of demonstrating how I think you should think about building AI products right now. And I'm talking about apps, but this could really be anything. And a really good way to get started, and this is the way that I got started, is just by finding small problems that you have in your daily life and seeing about how can I actually use AI to fix that product or that problem, sorry, rather than just having this problem and outsourcing it to someone else or just kind of putting up with it anyway. So this example was, like I said, I just moved to Lisbon last year. I was planning to propose to my girlfriend, and I found a website that had a huge database of diamond rings. I had to sort it by my budget, of course, and so when I started doing that, it gave me just a whole list of dimensions for the diamonds, and so it would say this diamond's 7 millimeters by 3 millimeters, and this one is 5 millimeters by 9 millimeters. And I kept thinking, I know what a millimeter is, but that sounds very small. I'm nervous that I'm going to get this diamond shipped all the way from the US, and when it arrives, it's going to look like a grain of sand, and she's going to say no. So I was super nervous, and so this was like a perfect use case where previously I could have, I don't know, gone to a shop and tried to struggle to talk to someone to ask for a tape measure or something so I could figure out how big this diamond was going to be. But actually, I did the opposite, and I decided to sit down with a tool called Replit, which at the time was pretty good, and it's still pretty good today, and see if I could make an app that would help it. So this took me maybe about an hour. The design is not that good. It's a pretty messy app, but this is one of the interesting points for me as a designer is now that I'm getting into development is, can I really focus on the functionality rather than how it looks? And so I built this app where basically you could put in the dimensions of the diamond, and then it will give you a top view, a side view of the diamond, and then that little sausage in the middle is meant to be a finger. And so it would show the diamond on there. And then the idea is that I could just hold my hand up to the screen and I could say, yeah, this diamond I think is big enough that she's going to say yes. And so immediately I hit a problem where actually, if I was looking at it on my phone or if I was looking at it on my laptop, the pixel sizes were different, the pixel counts were different, everything. So the diamond, even though it had the same dimensions, was actually differently sized. So I went back to the AI and I said, this is a problem, like, what do I do? How do I fix it? And so it came up with a really good solution right away. So it said to me that I need to find a universal sized object. And so all around the world, the example it gave was credit cards. They're all the same size. And it said, we'll make a credit card size shape on the screen. And all you need to do is hold your credit card up on the screen, drag this little blue slider until the pink box fits, and then click calibrate, and it will automatically update based on the size of the screen to make the diamond the right size. So it did that by itself. That was really just me giving it the constraints and the problems that I was having, and then letting the AI figure it out for me. And it did it, and it worked, and it did a really good job. And so I tested it out. I bought the diamond, and then Nick, if you want to go to the next slide for me. She actually did say yes, so she actually liked the diamond. Thank God, the AI actually came through for me. And so this, I think, was just like a really cool way of showing that actually you can have like these random problems. And also, like, I didn't build this for other people. I didn't build this to make money from it or to show it on like the internet and send other people to it. But I just built an app for myself to solve like a small problem. Sorry. All good, and it was awesome. Like, it actually worked out, and it doesn't matter if no one else uses it. It only took me an hour or an hour and a half to build, and fortunately, I got the outcome that I wanted. So, Nick, if you want to go to the next slide for me. So this is a screenshot from my profile on a website called GitHub, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. This is a website where, in case you don't know, developers store their code. Lots of companies store their code on there as well, so different developers can work on the same project. And they have this cool chart on there, which basically says each green dot is a different day of the year, and each green dot is basically every time you've saved your code to GitHub. And so, like I said before, I was never a developer. I actually used to argue with my university lecturers all the time about not wanting to write any code. And so you can see in 2023, and that goes all the way back to 2011, I didn't write a single piece of code. I don't still write code. I ask AI to do it for me. But you can see that I didn't do any of it there. In 2024, I had 139 individual contributions. So making like a big jump already towards the end of the year. And then so far in 2025, it says 971. It's probably well over 1,000 at this point. And so you can see that AI has really enabled me to just branch out my career completely into a way where I'm able to build my own products. And I mean everything from iPhone apps to Chrome extensions and websites and web apps, and stuff that's both useful for myself and also for clients as well. So now I'm just going to show you another good example, I think, of progress in AI and how fast it's moving. So some of you might have seen this video on the left, which is a video that came out about 18 months ago. It was of Will Smith, the actor, eating some spaghetti. And this is kind of thought of like the first AI generated video almost. It's kind of weird. So if I show it to you, you'll get an idea of what I mean. So if you want to click that for me, Nick.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Uncle Phil, come try this. Fresh pasta of Bel Air.
So that's, well, it doesn't look very realistic, to put it short. Like, it's pretty bad, it's pretty rubbish. But that 18 months ago, that was cutting edge AI generation. Nowadays, and you can see a video on the right I'm about to show you, this is one that I generated. It took me about 5 minutes. It has lip synced audio, it's got sound effects, it's 4K, it's got multiple characters, multiple scenes. And this is where we are just 18 months on. So if you've seen the Blair Witch Project movie, then hopefully this will make sense to you.
All right. We passed that same. All right, Cryptid crew. Today we're finding the Blair Beast. Fred's got the snacks, I got the guts. Let's roll. This is where they found the footage, bro. Dead center of the Blair grid. We hit that by sunset, we're legends. Fred packs like we're storming a bunker. That's why I trust him with my life. One vlog, one legend. If we go missing, upload the footage. Let's get it. This is where we left it. I packed this up 6 hours ago. Boys, what the fuck is going on? Okay, boys. Fred and I are headed northeast. The signal's moving. I've got goosebumps and I'm covered in fur. Okay. Fred just found what looks like a trap or art. Either way, it's cursed. Boys, I just heard something howl and Fred is gone. Like poof, full Yeti vanish. This forest ain't right, boys. I think we passed that same rock like 4 times.
There you go. So you can see that that's only a jump in 18 months, which is no time at all. And in AI especially, this stuff is moving so fast. There's new models coming out all the time. There's new apps and new services. It's hard to keep track of, but this is what I mean, where if something can't do exactly what you want right now, give it 9 months or a year or 18 months, and it probably will be able to do what you want. Do you want to jump to the next one for me, Nick? So this is another point that I really want to make clear, is that this is the worst that AI is ever going to be. It's only going to get better, it's only going to get faster and be able to do more than it does right now. And so putting a few weeks or months into learning how to use it now is probably going to be worth a whole lot more in a couple of years, when your competitors or other companies around you are realizing the benefits of it and they're frantically trying to learn. Like you can see from the apps that I I talked about building before. If I hadn't done anything into this time, and now today I was like, okay, I want to build an app. What I've got right now is this whole learnings of the last 2 years, how to build it, what tools I should use, what apps, what APIs and services I can use to build stuff really well and really nicely and really fast. And so all of those learnings I can put into place now. And so I want you guys to be in the same position where in a couple of years' time, when maybe AI can do the stuff that you want it to do, you're already well positioned to be able to make those changes. So interestingly, like, until now, the cost to build a good app for people has always been way too high. And I mean that in terms of time cost. It always took a long time. And also you had to get it outsourced to developers or software engineers who might charge you 20K or 50K to build an app. And that's really at a point where maybe you don't even know if people want it or if they're going to use it or buy it. And so right now we're at a point where that cost to build an app is actually coming down rapidly. And as that cost comes closer to zero, everyone is now able to build an app. And so what that does is it changes the landscape completely. And so previously, where there was the only reason to build an app was if you thought it was going to get used by tons of people or 1 billion users or something. Actually now you don't need to target those sizes of audiences. You can start targeting really small audiences or really niche problems where maybe it's still worth building for those people, because if you've got 100 people who are having a problem that is so unique and so specific to them that they're willing to pay £100 a month or £1,000 a year to use it, that still is a viable business. And so it's worth looking at where are these new opportunities that are available, and also what problems are people having that they can actually have a really specific viewpoint on how to fix it as well. So we get to a point now where the value actually just shifts slightly. And so whereas previously it was about the quality of the tech and being able to build the app, now that part is a lot easier to do, and so everyone can build an MVP of an app or a prototype of an app that fully works, and they can test the idea and share it with people online. The value now changes, so really good design, being able to give a good experience or really nice branding and styling, that is now really valuable, in the same way that distribution and being able to capture attention is as well. So if you've got a big following on social media, or you're able to create really good content online, or you've got a newsletter or a podcast with loads of people on it, you're now able to actually distribute that product to those people and capture that attention. So this is another example of that. So this is an app that I just built a little bit for fun. So I like buying my now fiance flowers all the time. And so as well as buying actual flowers, I thought maybe I can give her some virtual flowers as well. And so one of the problems with AI apps is that a lot of the time they actually just look like AI apps. They all look kind of similar. They're all using the same styling. But me as a designer, like, I want to be able to customize stuff and make it look more unique. And so this one was a quick test project I built really in a few days. And it was so that you could, every day you get given a new AI flower based on your location and the time of year. So if I'm here in Portugal, I'll receive some flowers that are native to Portugal. If you guys are in the UK, you get some UK flowers. And then you can share it with each other. So you have to airdrop it to yourself. If you're on an iPhone, you just share it. And it leaves your collection and goes to your friend and helps them build up their collection. So that's how it works. It generates a new flower every day based on, like I said, your location. And they just have these like quite nice little beautiful flowers on there. And that was just kind of my idea. And so probably no one really is going to care about this app. Hopefully they will, but probably not. Probably the audience is quite small, and even if people want to use it, maybe they don't want to pay for it. And so previously it would have been, well, that's a cool idea. Anyway, let's move on. Whereas now it's like, no, you know what? That's a cool idea. Let me test it. Let me build it, and then I can already open it on my phone. I can test it out. I can put it on the App Store. I can send the link to people so they can test it out. And if people really do love it, then sweet, let's push on, and I can start charging people for it or finding ways to make money. And if no one likes it, then I can just scrap it, move on to something else. But at least I've refined that workflow a little bit, like I talked about before. I know for the next time, okay, this is how I'm going to build it. This is how I'm going to test it. And this is how I can do it a little bit better.
Great. Thank you very much, James. So I think you've made me feel bad now, because you appear to be buying your girlfriend's now fiance flowers every day, and you bought a 7mm diamond, which seems huge to me. So yeah, maybe I'm a bit of a nice ass. I want to talk a little bit now about our experiences, how we've rolled this out. So James talked there about his experience and how he's gone from only a designer, a fantastic designer, who's now being a product builder that's got that design capability as well, and how his journey in developing his understanding and his experience so that he can feel confident trying things out that maybe won't go anywhere, but maybe they will. But he's now got the ability to try those things out himself. And we've been going through a similar journey ourselves. Obviously, we're a more technical team, but it's not been a linear journey for us. But in the last 2 years, from the leadership team, we've been promoting use of AI and making it clear that this is something we need to deal with for good or bad, and start to get our team engaged. And we're definitely seeing a big improvement in team engagement. We've done various sessions over the past 2 years to nudge people, encourage people and support them. And we're getting people excited about building their own products. We're getting people surprised about what's now possible, accepting that it wasn't very good 2 years ago and it's getting better every day. As James says, this is the worst it's ever going to be. But more interestingly for us, we're starting to see really more engagement from our clients as well. And many of you on the call today will have had conversations like this with Rose or with me about how we're using AI and how we want to help you do more and how you can do more yourself. And it's feeling like there's a very positive feedback loop there. Everyone's getting excited about the potential. So a couple of examples, or we've got 4 examples on here that we're going to just very briefly show you. So the first one, I think we've got a couple of people at least from Audley on the call today. So we've worked with Audley for I think about 9 years now. Great customer of ours. We love them very much. Obviously, I want to say that. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. And we've had a really close relationship with Audley over the past 6-7 years, and been working with the digital marketing and Laura's team, the village marketing team, very closely. And what we've been doing is they've been coming in every few months and doing what we're calling an innovation day, or an innovation day. And what we do is we get the team together, we talk about ideas that could be solved, things that maybe we haven't solved in the past because they were a bit too difficult. Like I said, and like James said, the cost to try out fixes and find solutions to problems is coming down, so we can try out more things. So we talk about what might be possible, where there's a pain point or an opportunity, and then we try and solve that problem quickly. And this is a great example where actually Rose and Sam and Tatiana from Audley sat down, talked about the need. Audley build and manage retirement villages around the UK. So at the heart of it, they are selling properties, very nice properties in very nice villages, but at the heart of it, they need eyes on their website, people to look at the properties, get a feel for the life at Audley, and start to then come along and visit and decide whether they want to buy. So Rose and Sam and Tatiana put together an idea for a lead generation survey that allowed people to answer a quiz and then see a bit of Audley experience at the end of it. They brainstormed it together for a few minutes while I was in another meeting. They put it into ChatGPT and we built out a specification for it of what it should do. And then they copied and pasted that specification from ChatGPT into a product called Lovable, which I mentioned earlier. Did I mention it earlier?
Yeah.
I said yesterday. So Lovable is we'll share the links to it, but it's a product building tool that is designed for non-developers. You tell it what you want to build and it will build it for you. And it's the sort of thing like Replit that James mentioned for the ring sizer. And they put it into Lovable, and within a few minutes it come up with the first version of the survey. We iterated it a few times, tweaked it, added a bit of branding, and within a day we were ready to launch this, and it's now live and you can use it. So that was a really good example where close collaboration with the customer, really dynamic live building becomes possible with these tools, and it just wasn't practical in the past. You would ask a developer to build you something, they'd go away, think about it, come back with some kind of answer, and it was a very elongated and potentially expensive process. We're now seeing the opportunity to do way more quickly. Thank you. That's a plan check. So the next one, so again, we've got Alison and Nikita from UK Wedding Association on the line today. What we've built for them is a couple of things. So they have, this is a new organisation designed to promote sustainable professional wedding planners and wedding designers and cake makers and venues, everyone who's used by couples when they're getting married. and they had a need to launch this website within probably a couple of weeks. Now, practically, that would have been impossible for us a few years ago. We've been working with Alison for many years now, but we wouldn't have been able to take on this job in the past a couple of years ago. With AI, what we were able to do is very quickly get up a brand new website that was online within a couple of weeks. Looked great, had the content and the branding that Alison wanted, had a couple of funky features that we threw in there as well because they were easy to do, and we got that ready for the launch event, and that was successful. And then we've expanded that over the past couple of months into a real product which has got e-commerce, integration with their CRM system. It's got a scorecard survey process that allows members to evaluate their progress towards that kind of gold standard professionalism and sustainability metric that they're heading for. And it was all built with the help of AI. Now, in this case, we actually used WordPress because that was a system that Alison knew well and that her team knew well. So we used a ready-made platform, but we've then added bespoke functionality, custom theme, lots of add-on plugins using AI to help us build that. And we used a mix of tools there. We used Miro, which a lot of you might know, kind of a whiteboarding tool, ChatGPT, Claude that James mentioned earlier, and WordPress. And this is where it starts to get interesting for us. We can use the very best in class technology that people understand and know, but we can add to it and move much, much faster with the use of these AI tools. So UK Wedding Association, oh, sorry, that's it. So this is just another, I was scrolling down the page. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Matt, to talk about this one. So Matt, do you want to take over?
Cool, yeah, thanks, Nick. Hopefully I'm muted. So this is an example of how we've been trying to use automation and AI combined to kind of reduce manual repetitive tasks. So similar to James, I'm not a developer, but I am a marketer who likes tools and AI. So automation has been around for a long time. That bit in the middle where you see the yellow and green, that's an automation workflow that's built in something called make.com. And the problem that we're trying to solve here is that one of our clients, one of our wonderful clients, travels around the world taking these beautiful photos of wedding venues, and they all end up in a central folder. And they needed a mechanism of moving them, sorting them, figuring out what was on these images, which they'd have to do manually normally, and then create all the social media and all of that kind of thing and alt text at the end of it. So what we're showing here is that we built a workflow in make.com, which uses ChatGPT as the brain in the middle of it, which you can see the logo in the middle, that scrolls through the goes through the folders, figures out which images are there, understands what's on the image, and then it creates some marketing text for it, some alt image for it, and then files it away nicely based on what it understands was in the picture. So if it's a picture in Greece, then it will file it away under a Greece folder, and then it'll move on to the next one. So that way they could move through hundreds, potentially thousands of photos with AI in the middle of it, and using these automation tools.
Thanks, Matt. And I think that one came about, again, because we started saying to people, just things that you used to ask or used to not ask about because you thought they were too difficult or not worth it. Start asking, ask us, is this possible? Because actually a lot of these things are, and some won't be. Not everything is practically solvable with AI. There's an awful lot of things that aren't. But it's about being a bit more can-do almost with technology and saying, actually, there might be a way to do this. And then the final example we've got is from our own internal work. So we have a company meeting every quarter where we get the team together and talk about how the business is doing or not doing. And in this one, we did a hack day. So we did a company meeting for a couple of hours in the morning. And then in the afternoon, for about 5 or 6 hours, we got them working on a project using AI. So the idea was to bring together a team of people. We've got about 40 or 50% of our team are developers. We've got some designers, project managers, admin people, and various other salespeople, that sort of thing. But there's an awful lot of people who aren't developers. And what we want to do is bring everyone together and say, you can now build things, you can solve your own problems, as James has said, solve your own problems using AI. And there may well be a limit that you get to where you then need to speak to designers and developers and specialists. But actually, you can get an awful long way and figure out the solution to our problem. So we gave them a task, which was to design a tool to allow us to run our projects more collaboratively across our teams. So across the developers, designers, and salespeople and project managers, how do we make sure that the thread through our project was smooth, that when we're over from one team to another, it worked well, how we were communicating with our customers, all of that. It's a messy job that we do, as some of you will experience, for good, bad. And we wanted to make that as easy as possible. We thought it was a good, solid mission that people would understand. So we gave them a little bit of explanation of what we wanted, but we left it pretty vague. We told them to use any AI tools. We made sure they all had access to the tools that they might need. And they also used whiteboards and their human brains and thought about what the problem might be. And it was really interesting watching the different dynamics in the different teams. Some people really struggle to get the idea of just diving in and having a go. We've got a bunch of people who are used to planning out and thinking carefully and worrying about the budgets and the risks and the can and can't do's. And we were saying to them, just have a go, see where it leads. And what we found is across the teams, we had some amazing products and some real revelations. You can see a comment from one of our project managers there, that it was the best company meeting she's ever had, and she starts to peel back the curtain at what these lazy developers are doing all of the time. Actually, she can do it herself now as well. And we had mixed teams, so we had project manager, designer, developer, and a marketer in this team, and they, in fact, salesperson in this team as well. And they came up with Threadline, which is this fantastic product, loads of functionality, and it all works. So they built it, and it all works. They even got so excited they did a launch video and did a nice kind of TED talk about it. But the level of engagement we got after that and the follow-up sessions we're having, it's really exciting to see. For me, as someone who knows how to build these things and gets frustrated that more people can't do it, it's really lovely to see people being able to open up the world for this. So the question then is, why wouldn't you do this for everything? If AI is so bloody brilliant, why don't we just AI all the things? And the answer is that it's not that easy, obviously. There's a but. And one of the buts is there's a skill and trust gap. So we've all, I think, seen how exciting and frustrating AI can be. There's this promise of it being the savior of mankind, solving lots of problems, taking away all of your boring work that I've just talked about. But it's frustrating because actually a lot of us can't get there every time. AI is famously random at times. It makes mistakes. It is confident at making mistakes. And it can produce work that you just can't use. So there's a fear of wasting time, of getting the wrong information, of becoming too lazy, or of replacing our own jobs. So it can be scary. And frankly, not everyone wants to be a builder. So James has talked about how you can all build your own apps now, but not everyone wants that. People sometimes like to do the thing that they've done. And so there's a need to show people the opportunities, but accept that not everyone is going to want to take those opportunities. They want to do something else. And learning does take time. So what we've tried to do there is we've tried to make sure we've given a carrot and a stick. So the carrot is we want to support you to be the very best at your job that you can be, and also expand your skills, move faster, take away that boring work, take away the drudgery, all the just the things that you don't like doing, and give you the opportunity. But at the same time, there is a commercial imperative here. We need to embrace this. We need you to do work with AI and understand how you can use it, so that as the AI does develop in capability, you are ready to go with it, so that we as an organization are ready to go. We've also invested really heavily in tools and training, so we're making sure everyone is aware what's available, everyone's got the tools they need. AI is such an enabler, why would we not give it to everyone? So that's what we've done. We've given a ChatGPT Pro license to everyone, and we've given specific licenses for specific tools, like development tools and design tools, where those teams are needing them. And we've done a lot of work to share our own experiences on our own internal messaging platforms and made it okay to fail. Because I think that's one of the things, people are so used to being expert at what they do, they don't like failure, whereas we're trying to now encourage people to take risks, try things out, learn, and accept that it won't go smoothly. It won't be a straight line from where you are now to where you want to be. It's going to be messy. And I've certainly found that in my work. I've been doing this for many, many years, building products. Using AI is not a smooth line, but it is exciting. So the other problem we've got, as we've all talked about, is that things change every day. And so it's a shifting sand of products and services and solutions, and every day there's a new large language model like ChatGPT or Copilot. There's a new version of it that can do new things, whether it can be handling images or creating video, or it's now particularly good at poetry or whatever it might be. And so trying to keep up with that is quite hard. As an organization, you also need to make sure that you are thinking about and managing the risks here. So there is a cost clearly to any investment in these products, especially if they're likely to fail some of the time. You've got to think about privacy and security. You don't want people uploading confidential information to a cloud service that's then going to be sharing that information with other users who ask it questions. And we've got to think about our company's reputation. If we're using AI, is that going to make us lazy? Is it going to reduce the quality of work we do? Is it going to make our customers think that's what's happening? So the way we're dealing with that, and this is an ongoing process, is we're trying to really to get people aware of what's coming up and what's changing. We've got AI champions, so we've got certain individuals in the team who are really, so Andy on board on the meeting today is one of them, really engaged with AI. He's doing a multiverse, which covers a lot of AI as well, so a modern day apprenticeship, that is. And he's very good at sharing his learning, but everyone in the team is getting on board with that with our internal messaging system, Slack. We are embracing the chaos, so we're accepting it's okay, it's going to change, we don't know what we're doing, we're kind of opening our arms, doing that hi to AI thing here, and saying, let's just try it and see what happens. And there'll be a point where we need to then start to close it down and move on a particular path. We decide this is our process, this is the rule, these are the rules, this is how we're going to use it and how we're not going to use it. But right now we're trying to be a bit more open-minded. And similarly with our clients, we're trying to be open with them so that they understand where we're using AI and where we're not. So the last few slides, I think, just talking about how you can enable AI across your organization, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. So the key thing here is to make sure that you plan out this strategically. This has to come from the top, really. It has to be the organization saying, this is something we want to do. People will be doing it, as I said at the start, anyway, but in order for it to work smoothly in some way, you need to be giving people clear direction. What do you want them to do? And accept that they will be learning, so there's risks here and it will go well. You need to have a level of governance here. So you need to be thinking about privacy and security. How are you going to control that? What rules do you want to set? But that needs to be flexible because it will change. Capabilities will change, your team will change. So you've got to keep that dynamic and make sure you're reviewing that regularly. And that's what we've been doing here. Give people those guardrails, that guidance, give them the tools. So a ChatGPT license, ChatGPT Plus license costs $20 per user per month. Copilot is about $30 per user per month, I think. Chris can correct me on that if I'm wrong on that one. It's just, it would be crazy not to, is my view. Now, I know that money is tight in a lot of organizations, especially any of our charity partners who are on here, but it's well worth doing that. You will see the benefit in time. And then give people that encouragement and that support, make sure they've got the tools, the training, the documentation, the sharing that they need. And then get people starting building their own. And use people like us as well if you want to. This is not a sales pitch for Versantus, this is about what we've learned. But you can bring in external, there's lots of training resources online as well. You've got ChatGPT, how to use it, for instance. But getting people building their own, that's where we've started to see the real shift in mindset from, I don't think this will work, to, oh my God, this is going to work. And that's where I think it gets to the high value outcomes that you want. And that's just a summary. So I'll leave that in the slides for when we share it with you. And then the other thing just to think about is AI right for this? So AI is really great at some things, but it's not great for everything. So I won't talk about this too much, but effectively think about the human tasks that you are really important, or your brain is important in, or humans bring empathy and critical thinking and judgment. Humans can decide what to make and what not to make. Humans can decide whether something is going to work for other people, or for your users, for your audience, your customers. The AI can help you with some of that, but it won't be able to make those decisions in the same way. So any work that is high risk, from security or bias, like I talked about earlier, for kind of HR systems, or where empathy and critical thinking matters, make sure that you've got the human leading that one at the very least. There'll be some things that you really just need automation. So the example that Matt gave you a second ago with make.com, there's a lot you can do there. If you've got a repeatable, well-defined process, it's the same outcome every time that you need, and there's just a lot of it, so you don't want to do it manually. Automation's great for that. And AI is really good where you're a little bit more flexible. At the moment, it will get better at being predictable, but at the moment, AI is unpredictable at times. So if you're a little bit flexible on the outcome, you know kind of what you want, but you're not quite sure what it's going to look like at the end. Try it with AI and you'll see how far it gets you. And then obviously where you've got a large volume of good data. So you've got good, consistent data, spreadsheets or business reports or websites that you want to analyze in some way. AI can be really good at that. It's great at making unexpected connections across lots of data. And then the final thing, I think, is the keeping the human in the loop. So like I said, there's something where humans are just the right solution for a problem. AI is not. But regardless of whether a human is the right solution for a problem, even if you're using AI to do something, make sure you are thinking about what's your part you're playing in this. Humans need to be setting the scene. What is it we're trying to build and why? And validating the outcome at the end, because you cannot 100% or maybe even 50% trust AI in many cases. There are some things it's amazing at, but it will hallucinate, it will make things up, it will be confident in that hallucination. So you need to make sure you understand how you're going to validate what it says. And that's the summary there of what you should do. So I think that the first thing you should do is make sure everyone in your team has the ability to use these tools and make it easy for them to start using them, make it feel comfortable and safe, set the governance guidelines, but get them on it. That's the really most important thing. And then what you do after that is about engaging your team, which will vary from organization to organization, picking the products you're going to build, picking the real world examples you want to test with, and then rolling it out across the business over time, thinking about what your strategy is longer term. But also make sure you are leading by example. So we've definitely seen that our leadership team have been promoting this and using it and talking about how we use it and talking about where it doesn't work. And I think that helps people feel comfortable that they're okay to carry on and use it themselves. And then final thing, so yeah. Start with it. That's all of it. We'll get on to discussion now. We'll cover questions. But for anyone who's interested, we've got a number of slots over the next month in October to have a session with probably with me and James at least, and maybe with Matt and Rose in there as well. So if you want to talk about how AI can be applied to your business in some way, again, this is about helping you understand what you can do yourself as much as what you can do with us. If you want to book one of those slots, then email Rose and we'll get you booked in. It's normally about an hour or so, and it can be with you and other people in your team. We normally have someone who's a leader in this business, and then several other people who are interested, and talk about how it will work for you. Oh, and then final thing, now is your chance to scan the QR code and donate heavily to help prevent homelessness. Thank you very much.